All right, ready to dive in. Today, we're taking a look at The Athletic, specifically their approach to the game of sports media, and what better playbook to use than their own X profile.
Yeah, it's kind of like a team's playbook, actually. You can tell a lot about a publication's game plan just by how they're presenting themselves online.
Exactly. And the first thing that jumps out, at least to me, is that The Athletic is owned by the New York Times. That's
Sure.
that's not something you see every day, legacy news giant scooping up a sports website.
Definitely not. It's a pretty big deal. I mean,
Yeah.
you've got the Times with, their reputation for deep dives, investigative journalism.
Classic hard-hitting stuff.
Right, exactly. And then you've got The Athletic, which has made a name for itself with its digital-first approach and its roster of, well, frankly, amazing sports writers.
Yeah, and you can see that influence in the kind of stories they're putting out.
Yeah.
Just the other day, I was reading their piece on, I think it was the Grizzlies' new draft pick.
Oh, right, yeah.
It was this whole deep dive on like his really unconventional training regimen and how it like shaped his path to the NBA. Fascinating stuff, the kind of stuff you definitely wouldn't see as a headline on like ESPN.
No, totally agree. The Athletic is definitely going beyond just box scores and like the highlight reel. They're really trying to get into the strategy, the business, even the human stories behind the athletes and the games.
Yeah, and they've built a pretty impressive following. I mean, over 562,000 followers on X alone. That's got to say something about their reach.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Though it is interesting to see that they're only following a small fraction of that number in return.
Right. I noticed that too. Is that intentional or just like a quirk of how they're using social media?
Hard to say for sure, but I guess it's a strategic move. By curating their feeds so carefully, they're making sure their followers are getting a very specific kind of content, their own content.
It's like they're saying, hey, if you want the Athletics take on sports, this is where you come to get it.
Exactly. And that plays into their whole brand, which, they lay out pretty clearly in their bio. Get every sports story that matters. It's a bold statement, don't you think? Especially in a world where there's so much free sports content out there.
It is. It makes you wonder, though,
Yeah.
about their subscription model. Can quality journalism really, like, survive and thrive behind a paywall in this day and age?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, there are definitely people who are willing to pay for high-quality content. We've seen that with things like, Patreon, Substack. People want to support the creators they love.
Yeah, it's that whole idea of building a community around the content. But with sports, it's interesting, right? Because, I mean, people are used to getting their sports news for free.
Absolutely. But I think The Athletic is betting that there's a segment of fans, a pretty big segment maybe, who are hungry for something more than just the headlines. They want that in-depth analysis, the long-form pieces. They're the diehards, and they're willing to pay for a premium product.
And by going the subscription route, The Athletic is also freeing itself from having to chase clicks. They don't have to rely on those like clickbait headlines and all that, which theoretically could allow them to maintain a higher level of, well, integrity with their reporting.
That's the idea, at least. The challenge, of course, is to find that sweet spot. Can they produce the kind of in-depth journalism they're known for and still make the numbers work? Can they keep those subscriptions coming? It's a gamble, for sure.
It is, but, looking at it all, they've got the backing of a media powerhouse like the New York Times. They're clearly committed to a certain type of sports journalism.
And they're all in on this subscription model.
Right. It really makes you wonder, are we seeing the start of something new here? Like, is this the future of sports journalism, a future where it's less about mass appeal and more about, like you said, finding those dedicated readers who are willing to pay for quality?
It's a fascinating question. And honestly, I don't have the answer. But The Athletic is definitely one to watch. They could be leading the charge into a whole new era for sports journalism. Or, well, they might strike out swinging. Either way, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out, that's for sure.
Couldn't agree more. All right, folks, that's our deep dive into The Athletic. Let us know what you think. Can this subscription model really rewrite the rules of the game, or is it destined to be, well, benched